recording. Get that on. That's better. Okay.
Right. What's this we've got today?
So this week we're looking at British comic 2000 AD, which is just coming up to its 50th anniversary. Started publishing in 1976, as far as I'm aware, and it's the first comic that I actually really started collecting when I was about 10. I'd started reading another British comic called Tornado, which then merged with 2000 AD, which was quite often the pattern with comics that didn't do as well. They would merge into more successful titles. 2000 AD's got quite a long history of that. It merged with quite a few other comics, bringing in some of the characters from them as well. But yeah, so 2000 AD has existed for nearly 50 years now, and when I started it was my gateway to actually starting reading and collecting comics.
Yeah, I've actually heard of 2000. Isn't that?
AD.
I thought you said 2001.
No, 2000 AD.
Oh, 2000 AD. Well, nevertheless, I have heard of it, even if I'm confused. But as far as I'm aware, I've never actually seen a copy to look at. And I have to say, I do like the front. The front cover is really good.
Yeah, so this is a really great artist who goes by the pen name of ING Coolbard. He's done work in America as well. Did a great anthropomorphic series a couple of years ago, which was really brilliant, and has been really the 2000 AD is kind of a almost like a jumping ground launch pad for British artists. There was a period in the 80s which I think we have talked about before, when a lot of artists and writers who worked for 2000 AD are artists like Dave Gibbons and Simon Bisley, Cam Kennedy. Loads of artists went to work in America for Marvel and for DC. Writers like Alan Moore. Alan Moore's sort of recognised as one of the godfathers of modern comics, even though he doesn't write comics anymore. But Alan Moore started writing for 2000 AD. So we've seen it's a launch pad for so much British talent, and it still is it's still quite a coup to get your work published in 2000 AD.
That sounds good. I thought this was a tear. I'm confused. What is that?
It's a vapor trail coming off a spaceship. So there's a spaceship crossing the logo there, and there's a vapor trail coming off from behind.
Oh, I actually really thought, and I went like that. But it is a nice cover. Is she supposed to be an alien?
No.
Because she's got strange eyebrows.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just down to the way the artist chooses to draw the character.
Yes.
I read Brink. I was reading 2000 AD a few years ago, and I think I read the first couple of books of Brink. This is, I think,
is she
book
Brink?
6. I think Brink is the title of the story, and she's the main character.
And what's her name?
I don't know, but we'll probably find out as we dive in.
Right. I do like that. That's nice and clear. Nice colours.
Yeah, it's always had. I think 2000 AD has always been well designed and well put together.
Shall I turn the page?
Yeah.
Is that 2 pages?
That's 2 pages.
Right.
So the way 2000 AD is laid out now, they always have this thing. Tharg is the editor, he says in inverted commas, of 2000 AD. It was a device they used, bearing in mind this started in the 70s. Tharg is an alien from the planet of Beetlejuice. Yeah, and he's sort of a love him or hate him kind of character. A lot of people think it was a bit silly and stuff like that, but it's been there all the time. So he's supposedly the editor of 2000 AD, and so the inside cover has always been Tharg's nerve center, so it gives a breakdown of the stories that are going to be in the issue, and there's like a little kind of editorial. When it started originally, they said that it was all made by robots, so there were like art droids and writer droids and stuff like that. And there's been funny strips in the past about Tharg and the droids having adventures.
Right. I suppose he has to do something when he's not in the films, he's not being a film star.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Who's this?
so this is Venus Blue Jeans. There's
It's written there.
this is coming up. This is a story that's coming up, so it's called Thrills of the Future. There's a story that will be coming up in Brisbane. Have to remind people that 2008 comes out every week and has come out every week for over 50 years.
That is
So it's a weekly comic. Comes out every, I believe, Wednesday's become the day for new comics now, and so Wednesday is when everything comes out.
Yes. Have you got every copy?
I had lots of copies, so I started reading it when I was about 10, so it would have been about prog, I think 125, and I had easily 500 copies. I've had artwork published in here as well,
Oh,
which is a bit of,
I've not seen that.
yeah, I need to dig that out.
I think you should. I think
Yeah.
we ought to discuss that so you can show off a bit.
Yeah, like you said, when I started, this was the first comic, 2008 was the first comic that I really got into, and I really started collecting every week. I used to walk to the newsagents every week to pick up my copy on a Saturday morning with my pocket money. And for a long time, it was where I wanted to be published, because I didn't really know about American comics then. And this was like really the biggest comic in the UK. So this is where everyone kind of hoped they would get published.
Right, you didn't answer my question.
Sorry.
Have you got all the copies from the beginning?
No, I've not.
Right. Okay.
Issue number 1 sells for about £100 a copy.
Well, I'd like to see it, but not £100 worth of seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a story. Where's the this here?
So Judge Dredd is,
I've heard that.
yeah,
about.
Judge Dredd is excuse me, 2000 AD's flagship character. He's been in every issue since issue 2. He was introduced as a new character in issue 2 of 2000 AD.
Has he been in a film?
Yeah, so there have been 2 so far. There have been 2 Judge Dredd films. There was one made in the 90s, I want to say, early 90s, with Sylvester Stallone, which a lot of the fans don't like, because the whole thing about Dredd is he wears his helmet all the time. You never see his face. Judges are the police force of the future.
Yeah, but I can see his face there.
That's not Dredd.
Oh. Well, where is he not here?
Dredd's here in the
Yeah.
background here. He never. It's become a thing that in his all of his history, he's never taken his helmet. Well, he has taken his helmet off a few times, but the face will always be seen in silhouette, like heavy black. So you never actually see his face.
You would have to have a somebody that wasn't famous playing it there, wouldn't you? If they
Yeah.
were
Well,
gonna
what
take-
happened when they made the second film in the I think it's 2012. I could be wrong. Was with the actor Carl Urban, and Urban stayed in character, so he kept the helmet on all the way through the picture. And
Well, I've never heard of him. That could be why.
he's been in Star Trek, in the more recent Star Trek films. He's in a great series called The Boys, which is about superheroes.
Never heard of that.
Really good, really great actor. He's done Marvel films.
Right.
And there are not exactly rumours now, but it's apparently there's going to be a new Dredd film coming out.
Right.
It's-
Would I
it's-
like them?
I don't know, because they can be quite violent.
They fight all the time.
There's a
then.
lot of fighting.
Oh,
yeah.
I'd get bored with that. I'd wander off and find
Yeah.
a book, wouldn't I?
But controversially, I actually quite like the Stallone film. The big thing was that Stallone took his helmet off, and he doesn't wear a helmet for a lot of the film. And so like all the really hardcore fans said, "Oh, it's not really Dredd because he's taking his helmet off." So
Well, that doesn't.
comic book fans we're a funny group.
Anoraks.
We could possibly be called anoraks, if that makes sense to anybody. Anyway, so this
It makes
is
sense to lots of people.
this is Judge Dredd. So he's the flagship character of 2000 AD. So he's been in there since episode 2, since prog number 2.
Who's this?
So that'll be one of the tech judges. They have slightly different designs of helmets.
And he's just another character.
He's just another
not
character,
somebody
yeah.
that's important.
Yeah. So these ones here in what look more like spacesuits, you can see that they're judges because they wear these badges with their names on, their surnames
What's
on.
the premise? They're judges. They go and judge people.
So yeah, basically, it's when 2000 AD started. A lot of it was quite violent, quite controversial, but it was about predicting the future. And the judges are basically the police force of the future, but they have, in some cases, they have the right to execute
Oh, they
criminals.
would, wouldn't
Yeah,
they?
because they all carry guns called lawgivers.
And this is an English one.
And this is an
They're
English
being
one.
silly, aren't they?
But interestingly, it's set in a future version of America. So it's after there'd been like a thermonuclear war. So there's a big area of the land called the Cursed Earth where there's mutated people and stuff like that. There was the first epic Dread story was the Cursed Earth. It ran for about 3 months, I think. And it was an ongoing story through the Dread going through the Cursed Earth and encountering mutants and stuff like that.
Right. I was wondering what these are. Look like arms.
These are known as heist gear. So they're designed for high altitude work. I think they could like allow you to. They've got magnetic gloves, knee pads, and boots here. They're saying.
Does that's something that's not normal? It just happens
Yeah,
in this episode.
it happens in this episode. Yeah.
Mm.
And as you can see here at the bottom, just in this bottom corner, before we move on, that used to be called the credit card in 2000 AD, and it would be where all of the artists and writers would be credited. So you got writers
Yes.
first, then artists, then the guy who does the colours, and then Annie Parkhouse is a living legend in British comics. She's been lettering probably longer than 2000 AD has existed, and she's still doing it now, which is brilliant. And there's a woman still doing it as well, which is fantastic.
Is it a bit of a man's world? But from what I actually hear, have we encountered an artist that's female so far?
We've not looked at any female artists yet. It's growing. There are more women coming into the industry. There's always been women in comics, since the beginning, but they were kind of few and far between. Now it's much more common for female artists and writers. Caroline Cash, actually, sorry, we did look at a woman's artwork. Caroline Cash is a woman and makes comics.
Is she?
Yeah.
Oh, clearly.
She's She's a rising star at the moment.
Is that Judge Dredd?
That's Dredd. So you've got Dredd here in the background. They're wearing these slightly different versions of their uniforms.
I think it's just as well he keeps his face covered. He's not as pretty as Sylvester Stallone.
So we'll move on to
Oh, what's that? I like that panel.
So it looks like there's some kind of. I have to say we've not actually read this copy of 2000 AD yet. This is last week's copy. As I say, it comes out weekly. So
you don't know what you're talking about.
I know about the characters, but I don't know about the stories because I've not actually read the stories. This story, as we can see, is called Climate Crisis. So it's to do with the climate of the Earth. So,
but what's that there?
It looks like they've done winter in one frame and then sprung it over to summer because you can see everything's melted here. So the sun's come out.
Oh, I see.
It looks like
that not a character?
The character standing. There's a judge here standing in the middle. There's a female judge standing in the middle here, being held hostage by someone with some kind of toxin or something. I think this is looking at it, this is like a climate centre. So people are being held hostage there.
Right, like they are.
Yeah.
It looks like it's in. I forgot Antarctica or the Arctic.
Yeah, it looks like that, doesn't it? Yeah. So then we see them floating above the whole Earth here, so you can actually see the clouds and the sky and everything. And I suspect this is a weather station of some kind. In Dread, the weather because it's in the future, they can actually control the weather more effectively. A lot of it is because it's messed up because of nuclear war. But
so this is political.
Oh, Dread has always been political. It's always looked. There have been stories which are overtly political. There was a story back in the probably late 70s, early 80s called that was about the chief judge. So the head judge was like Cal. I mean, it was an abbreviation of Caligula. So it's talking about like the Roman history, but portraying it through the futuristic world.
What was the political bit?
It was talking about how dictators behave and think they can get away with stuff.
Right, that's quite
And
relevant to
given
say.
given the
Don't
current climate we're living in at the moment, yeah, it's quite yeah, pun not intended. But yeah, Cal was a lot about the politics of power and how power can corrupt and stuff like that.
right,
It's always 2000 AD has always been what we call edgy. It's always had a bit of an edge to it.
right. There's somebody's got a difficulty here. What's happened? I
So
can't.
they're going out into space and they've got these magnetic points on their suit so they can.
Ah, so it's
And
stuck and that's gone.
yeah, it says it was that they worked too well. It
Oh
says the
no.
problem wasn't that the magnetic gloves didn't work; it was that they worked too well, and that basically his arms got stuck on the outside of the space station.
Yeah, I'm not surprised he's looking a bit shocked. Yeah. I'm glad this is just a comic. It's not real.
So this is Dread
Well,
coming to
that's a
come
very odd picture, isn't
coming in.
it?
So this is drawn in what I would call more of a manga style. You can see the way that the lines are more jagged. So
But you've got
this is
the angle is
yeah,
coming from the top side.
and it's the way it's drawn is to show that he's dropping at speed. So these are like speed lines because things blur when they're seen at speed.
Oh right, is that a mechanism that I've
It's a
not
comic, yeah, it's a
encountered?
comic mechanism. It's becoming more common in mainstream comics, but it started really in manga in Japanese comics.
I can't really see that that's a speed. I don't look at that and think, oh, he's dropping at speed. Why is it? You said lines?
Because the lines are there's lots of lines moving, like moving fast with energy. You can see
Where?
this whole page here. The lines are cutting into the
Oh,
artwork.
I
It's sort of got a
see.
jagged finish to it, so it's showing movement.
Oh
So here,
right.
where he's trying to use the magnetized suit to catch onto the station, and so they call it energy lines. So it's to show that there's movement and energy going on because obviously comics are a static art form, so you've got to show movement in it.
I think I've seen that before. It's just that on that particular picture, and bearing in mind I'm looking over your shoulder, they weren't clear to me. That's all. I couldn't see it. Right. Oh well, he evidently gets caught.
Yeah. So then they're caught on the outside of the station. There's the guy who's had his arm ripped off.
He'd be a bit dead now, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
With all that blood loss.
yeah.
But it's not real, is it?
It's not real.
I don't have to worry about him.
So now they're breaking inside to the station. I think now me actually reading the story, I think what's happened is somebody's taken over the weather station, and the judges are going in to stop them.
Oh, is that a her?
And that's a her at the end. I think she's sort of like the villain of the piece.
Oh, Cruella de Vil.
Got a bit of Cruella de Vil vibe, but yeah. So that's Dread, futuristic law enforcement. Yeah, quite overtly political. The great British writer Pat Mills was one of the. I think he was actually the original editor of 2000 AD. He worked for other comics like Action and stuff. He'd worked on lots of UK comics, but he was kind of the architect of 2000 AD when it started. So he was coming up with the
Right.
concepts for most of the stories, even though he didn't start writing them until quite a bit later. But he was instrumental in 2000 AD being what it was at the time.
Right. Now, is this a different writer?
So we're into a different story now here. So we've got a different crew putting it together. Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's good. Other comics don't have that, do they?
Usually, so if you look at like a Marvel or a DC comic, they usually because they're a single issue of about 20 pages of story, and they'll have the credits at the beginning. So right on usually at the bottom of the first page.
Right. Not so obvious as that, is it?
No. And I think this was a big thing. This was giving artists recognition. So when a lot of before 2000 AD came along, the majority of what we would call boys comics were war comics.
Oh, yes.
War comics, and I couldn't say with definitively, but I don't think artists and writers were being credited as much in them. and I think this is one of the things, and I think this is something that Pat Mills himself came up with, the fact that they introduced this concept of the credit card, so people actually got credited, even though there was the in-joke that it was drawn by droids or robots, but people actually got credited for what they did.
Right, so who drew this one?
So the artist here is a guy called Lee Milmore, not one that I'm aware of. P.G. Holden I am aware of, who's Drew Dredd. I'm aware of his work. I quite like his style.
And who are the other people?
So we've got David Barnett as a writer, Lee Milmore drawing, colours by Gary Caldwell, and letters again by Annie Parkhouse.
Is she the only one you recognise in that one?
From that, yeah, because Annie's been there for, gosh,
Yes, she said.
long time. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's this all about? Is it Hearn?
Hearn and Shook. So
Oh, Shuck.
I think what we've got here is we've got a cross of old and new. So it looks like this character here it could actually be King Arthur.
It certainly looks like that.
He's wearing like, traditional plate armor and stuff like that.
So these are their names, yes?
Yeah.
Which one's which?
So I suspect this is Hearn and this is Shuck, I think.
Right. And, well, they've got
But
just having a chat here.
They're talking about Camelot here. So this is what makes me think that this is King Arthur here.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, and you can see here in the bubble, King Arthur has been picked out in a bold italicized font, so you can see it gives emphasis to the words.
Oh, right. Actually, if this is Hearn and Shuck, that can't be King Arthur.
No.
So, yes. But around that time, why is that green?
I don't know. They're just messing with different lighting effects. You can see the way that the characters are lit. Where the shadows on the face are and everything.
That's an extreme.
It is an extreme. Maybe because there's more bold text in the bubbles here. They're using that color for emphasis. To
maybe
the text, the speech within that panel is more important.
It's incongruous to me.
Yeah.
Just weird. No, can't do that again. I won't let them.
So flowing into the next spread, we see more of the characters.
You really need to have a bit of a backstory, or presumably in other issues.
Yeah, I mean this is so this is part 10 of the story. So this story has actually been running for a couple of months now, for 10 weeks.
Don't they give a kind of paragraph saying somewhere?
Well, at the beginning here, so we'll go back to the intro page. So quite often, this is sort of like a quick synopsis of the character and what the character's like, and then a very brief synopsis of what's going on in the story. So they say here, now terrorists have taken over the weather control satellite and are blackmailing the city. So that's the climate change of the city. So there is a little bit of a lead in.
But that's saying what's happening here.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell you what led to it. I mean, it's quite often, say where you do a series of fantasy novels, often, not always, but often you'll just have a sort of couple of paragraphs at the beginning saying what happened before, how you got to where you are. Because, of course, some people, like me today, come to this and I think, well, why?
Yeah, 2000 AD has a great tradition of, they have what they call jumping on issues. So they'll make sure all of the current stories are ended. They'll quite often bring in a new story. So it'll be characters that they've published before, but in a new story.
So will there be another news story somewhere to get you hooked?
Yeah, so they call them jumping on progs. Prog for program, like a computer program. And they do these 2 or 3 times a year where they'll kind of reset the comic so it gets new people into it. So it's a good starting point. You can jump in on point.
But that is only if you happen to buy the ones 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah. But as I say, because it's a weekly comic, most people read it week by week.
Yeah, but everybody's got to start saying,
Yeah.
I don't. But if I wanted to get this every week, the fact that I don't know what's going on really would stop me.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's happened there? They turn the lights out.
They've clearly turned the lights out. I've used this device in some of my cartoons as well when there's been stuff at night.
What does that say?
And it says dicks.
Pardon?
It says dicks.
They need their bowels washed out with soap.
There was in Dread that they used the word drock and stom. They were alternative swear words.
Oh, right. So
For a
that's
lot,
not an alternative.
so for a long time, 2080, the writers in 2080 used they do close to swear words, but they couldn't actually publish swear words. Given the times we've moved in and it's been around for a while, they've kind of
They do the real thing.
they do
now,
the real
like
thing
that.
now. Yeah,
Oh, that looks like a dog I had.
yeah.
Lots of years ago. Mr. Billy Socks.
Does look a bit like Billy, but I don't think Billy talked.
Well, I talk to him a lot.
So these are obviously other mythological creatures. I think probably from England's past.
The Green Man.
Yeah, it could be the Green Man, but they've made it a green woman
Oh, is it
wearing
a woman?
wearing a dress. That might be Bodicea in the background there.
You
There's
don't,
Herne the Hunter.
you don't call it Bodicea anyhow.
You call it Boudica.
Boudica.
You call it Boudica now.
It was the
Yeah.
pronunciation from Boudica.
So, and I think this is supposed to be Merlin down here. So this is clearly looking at British folklore and stuff.
Yes. What's this?
So this is obviously supposed to be Merlin here.
But what's that?
That's a pagan symbol, I think, for the earth.
Right. And going back to the Mr. Billy Socks lookalike,
Yeah.
is that a person or is it just a dog that talks? I don't mean just a dog. Sorry, Breeze.
The dog is clearly a character. Is a character from English mythology. I'm not exactly sure where because they're not putting the name. We probably, if we'd have read more of the stories and not just come in part way through.
See?
I know.
It's only got the one head, so I don't remember a dog being in the mythology, but not that I know masses about it. What's this?
So, Merlin was nearly always seen carrying a staff, which he kind of used instead of a magic wand, and this is in the form of a snake. You can see here there's a form of a snake that he's holding.
Oh yes, I see. Turns into a snake, does it?
Yeah.
When it suits.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of the magic from English folklore is natural magic.
Like from druids and the like.
And here they are. They're introducing the characters, so you know who they're talking to.
Oh right, that's good.
Yeah.
What's this she's got there? Is that a bird?
I think that's a bird skull with berries and stuff around it.
No point in feeding it now. Is
No.
it?
So that's the Lady of the Wood. So a little bit like the Green Man.
Yes.
Yeah.
A version. And that person looks a cat.
So Queen of the Selkie. Selkie are.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I do know those from my reading.
Yeah.
They're like what's they called? Seals.
Yeah.
They're seals, and what I know about them is when they come to land, they take their seal coat off and then they hide it somewhere.
Yeah.
And if somebody steals their coat, they can't go back to the sea and think they die, don't they, eventually?
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that's real. That's just that's really what happens. Because nobody'd steal their coats, would they?
No.
And who's this good-looking one?
So this is the main character. I suspect this is either what were the characters called?
I don't know.
Shook. So the characters were actually called Herne and Shook. So Herne is Herne the Hunter, I'm assuming. This must be Shook, who is a normal human being who's encountering all these spiritual creatures.
Won't be normal after that, will he?
No.
Need a lot of counselling.
Probably need quite a bit of therapy, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Right, on to is this a different story?
So this is a different story now. This is Brink, which is the story that was on the front cover.
Yeah. Where's the title?
Now, they've not put it here. They have put the credit card right at the beginning. Mm-hmm. It's a smaller team this time. So Dan Abnett is a more well-known British writer who has been writing for 2008 and other publishers for quite a long time. Inge Coulbard is the artist who's done stuff here and in America. Really like their style. And then we've got letterer Simon Boland. So there's another letterer working on here. But so that means that Inge is creating all of the artwork, the line work, and the colour.
Right, and the letter, she was evidently having a day off there.
Yeah,
That day. What was the name? I've forgotten. I forget their
Annie
names so
Parkhouse.
quickly. Right. This doesn't attract me because it's all a bit dreary. Is it at night?
So this is set in space. This is a spaceship zooming through space, and then this is the interior. This is going inside the ship and seeing the characters talking to each other. They use here almost like a computer display. So they're telling you who the characters are.
Right. Well, you could use this to get the jam out, last bit of jam out the jar, couldn't you?
Yes. So again, this is the centre pages of the actual comic. So we're into a double page spread.
Is that the same story?
This is the same. This is Brink carrying on. Yeah. So they're talking to the characters in the what looks like the cockpit of the spaceship.
Again, it's not very appealing to look at, all greys and blur colours.
Yeah, there's a thing about the interior of spaceships with the way it's been portrayed in sci-fi, science fiction films, and in books and so on. And some of them think they should be quite dreary and sort of like utilitarian.
Right, like Star Trek.
And then other ones think, like Star Trek, they think they should be brighter, more inviting environments. And this has gone backwards and forwards in sci-fi for years. There's sort of a nice nod to the Alien films here. This is like the pods they used in Alien.
I've not seen those.
Alien's brilliant. Such a good film. And British director.
Right. No, I haven't seen it. Unfortunately, I've seen the bit where he loses his arms by accident.
Yeah,
Is that the worst bit?
probably, yes.
Right. I'd be spend the whole time worrying about when we
Yeah.
got to that. I'm not very good at violence on films.
This is why Eliza-Mariah flicks through the fight scenes in fantasy books.
Oh no, that's because they're boring. I don't mind. I mean, if I read something, I don't mind seeing it either in, on television or in magazines or anything that's to do with real people having medical treatment or an operation or anything like that. That kind of gruesomeness doesn't bother me. But anything that portrays pain, I struggle with.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, that's too dreary. They want to take a leaf out of Star Trek.
Yeah. So they're walking around in the ship, and they're obviously going off on some mission somewhere.
It's a step in the right direction, a bit blue.
Yeah. I mean, it's a nice use. I think it's a nice use of colour here. They're changing like the tone of the pages. And this is as they're coming down to they're coming to dock onto some kind of space station here. And then there's a task force here that are obviously kind of watching lots of things that are going on.
They look like they're having a lecture.
It does look a little bit like a lecture hall, doesn't it?
Oh, but if you see NASA,
they've
copied NASA, haven't they?
Yeah, they copied NASA. You'd see lots of screens and controls and stuff like that.
Yes.
And then here, so this is a bit like a TV program having 10 minutes of preamble before the credits come up.
My goodness. One of my pet hates. I put that in Room 101.
Yeah.
I wondered where the title had got to. I should have realised.
Yeah.
Just pulled the few. Oh.
So this is this is part one. This is sort of the start of this. Brink has been running for a while. I think this is the 5th or 6th sort of book of it. So this is the opening. So we've got an established character here.
What, him?
No, the lady here at the back at the bottom. That's the one who's the woman.
What's her name? Oh, we don't
Bridget, I think.
Right. Evidently Irish.
Yes.
Because she looks really Irish, doesn't she?
And they're giving plenty of space for this story. So this story is run for 4 or 5 pages already. Stories in 2000 2000 AD tend, because it's a weekly comic, tend to be 5 to 6 pages to allow, you know, multiple stories to be seen in one issue.
Mm-hmm.
But so we've got the characters in conference here with this chief character.
Right. That doesn't appeal, you know, it doesn't draw me
Yeah.
to itself.
Well, this is just an establishing episode, so they're obviously setting up some kind of case or something that they're investigating.
Oh, yeah, the first episode of a comedy is always
Yeah.
a bit like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just roll in the next character.
Yeah.
Right, the discarded.
And then we've got the... So
What's happening to it? Is he stuck?
So this guy's clearly got a robotic arm.
This one?
Yeah. No, here, the big guy has got a robotic arm. He's folded up like that.
Oh, right. Nothing bad's happening to him.
No. So this one here, we've got the credits here. This is actually this is written by Peter Milligan, who is one of the great British comic writers. I've read a lot of his. I've got a lot of his stuff in my collection. He's been writing since definitely since the 80s and through. He's written over here. He's written in the UK. He's written in America. He's been really successful.
Where does he originate?
Comes from the UK.
Right.
But he had a very successful run at DC Comics, writing quite a few of their titles.
Yeah, I hope he's back home, given his
I think he has
skills here.
I think he has tended to write more for British comics these days. But he still does do. He still
Goodness.
took a breath. He still does write for predominantly for DC. He's written some titles for them in recent years. But he's one of the great writers that we've got. He's great. He's a really good writer.
Well, I really like the way the trousers show.
Yeah, so it's nice attention to detail here of how fabric folds and holds and everything.
Yes, it's the same with her. Oh, am I leaning over too far?
No, I don't think so.
Next.
Yeah,
next
yeah,
page?
yeah. Flick over.
I think that's just one. Oh, bluey again. Bob with that.
Yeah.
Can I go to the next one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Was there anything really important to say?
I think they're just talking to each other here. This guy's clearly is some kind of robotic android kind of thing.
I can't pick up the page.
Because we're almost at the back.
What's this?
So it looks like a computer chip. It looks like what's on site, a silicon chip. So this is Junkfall must be the setting of this story, and they've got this
circuit board that looks.
So that's a circuit board. So I think here you've actually got the this is some kind of robotic or computer running the society. A bit like HAL in 2001.
Oh yes, we don't want that.
So you've got, they're called Comrade Chip. There's a lot of things. So it looks like there's echoes of communism and stuff like that in here. Again,
right. Was that what HAL represented?
I don't think so.
Didn't strike me when I saw it, but
no.
that was a long time ago.
Yeah. Bearing in mind, I think 2001 came out in 1967 originally. Yeah. But it's interesting. So we've got this character here talking to the computer, and the computer is using the term like comrade and stuff like that. So it's clearly the computer is in charge.
Why has he got dots on him?
So he's seen like a reflection of the light that's coming out from the computer. So these are like seeing the circuit boards reflected on his face.
Right, and there's that thing more clearly.
Yeah.
Right. Next page.
Yeah. And then this is the last page of the story. So it's come back to this big sort of android kind of character. We're seeing the computer screen still projected onto this character's face, or whether he's like connected to the computer in some other way.
Yes, I do like. I mean, the light showing off the metal there. This is good, and it ends with a pretty face.
Yeah. And then on the back inside page we have what's called input, but this is the letters page, so where readers write in to 2000 AD and talking about what's going on in it. There's the one thing that 2000 AD has always done, and I think this is a thing in certainly in British comics, is that they would choose a letter that would be like the letter of the week or this week's winner, and here they're giving away graphic novels from
Oh,
2000
they
AD.
do that in Woman's Own and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
So and I mean, I was lucky that, gosh, probably 30 odd years ago, I sent a piece of artwork into 2000 AD, a humorous version of Judge Dredd, and it got printed in on the letters page, and I won it. At the time, you won a mug. It was called an LRD, a liquid refreshment dispenser.
Oh, it's
And
gone now, has it?
and they made a mistake and they sent me two, and unfortunately I haven't got either of them now. One of them actually broke, and I had the other one for a long time. It was my work mug for ages because I was really proud that I
Maybe
got
you
this.
left it.
Again, it was a big thing. You'd see a lot of people who went on to become part of 2000 AD. Their first published artwork would be on the letters page.
Well, I'd keep putting them in.
Yeah.
Which shows what they're missing out for now. Right. Are we get to read the letters, or we can just leave
I
them?
think we're going to leave them. Like I said, they're mainly talking about the stories that are going on and like talking about the graphic novels that are being published and stuff like that.
Well, somebody likes something spot on.
Yeah.
Right. What's the next page?
So now we're on to the back page.
Oh, right. Oh, we're back to Brink again.
So back to Brink again. So this is book 6. So this is advertising. So Rebellion, who now publish 2000 AD, they advertise their collected editions, their graphic novels. So this is Brink book 6. So the one that's just started must be book 7. This title has been really popular.
Can people get the back issues of the comic, or do they publish it separately?
This is published separately as a collected edition, as a graphic novel. You can go back. I mean, some comic shops still sell second-hand comics, so you could go back and buy individual issues.
But that wouldn't be the company sending them.
No, company do sell to a degree. You can go back a certain way, but if you wanted to dig back and get
Excuse me.
a big pile, you'd have to go to like a comic fair or a collector's fair, something like that. And quite often you'll find some of the ones from the 70s and 80s as well. But that's 2000 AD. The first comic I really started collecting. It was my gateway to discovering loads of amazing artists and writers, lots of whom went on to work in America, because America it still is seen as like the biggest market in comics. So if you work for an American publisher, you've made it.
Right. Well, I think I'd give that about 6 out of 10. It's what it does brightly is really good. Then you've got too many pages that are just the same dreary kind of cover.
Yeah.
So the lack of colour in that, and the fact that they don't. If I decided I wanted to go next week and buy it, and half of it I wouldn't understand.
No, this is it. I mean, I just grabbed the latest issue from a couple of weeks ago, just so we could actually have a look at what 2000 AD is like now.
You don't like a criticism of it because you love it.
Well, yeah, I've still got a real soft. I haven't read 2000 AD for quite a few years now, but as it was my gateway to comics, full stop. So I do think of it very fondly. A lot of my favourite stories and writers were the British writers that I met at conventions and stuff in the late 80s.
Yes, it's just that particular issue has too much dreary in it. Maybe a different one
Yeah.
doesn't.
I mean,
but when they do the artwork, I just love.
Yeah, this is the great
the
thing.
colouring of
There's always been lots of. I mean, it's like a lot of weekly comics. There would be lots of different artists working in it, and lots of the artists who worked for 2000 AD went on to, again, moved into doing American comics and stuff like that. I've lost my thread completely now.
Don't know what you're talking about, do you?
No.
No. Well, I was just thinking.
But oh no, I know.
Oh,
Sorry, I know what I was going to say. So originally, obviously, 2000 is now in full color, as pretty much all comics are. When it started, it was on cheaper newsprint paper. This is on
that's nice.
sort of nicer paper. So again, it's good quality printing.
Yeah, it's thin, but not too thin.
But when it started, it was like on this newsprint sort of pulpy paper,
Have you got
like a
one
newspaper.
of those?
I have actually.
Right.
I've got Prog 500. This is Prog 2472.
Right. Why don't they say issue?
Because Prog was more futuristic, like a computer program, and it's just something that stuck. You know, when I used to go out on a Saturday morning to pick up 2000 AD, and my stepdad would always say, "Oh, have you got the Prog?" He wouldn't say 2000 AD. Have you got the Prog? Because that's what we called it.
Lot of interesting detail.
Yeah.
Taking care with the detail.
But yeah, when it originally started, it had full colour on the front and back cover, and it had full colour on the centre pages of it, but the rest of it was printed in black and white.
I've just thought of something. Can we just look all the way through it?
Yeah.
Just turning the pages for me, because it'll take you half the time. Right, keep going. Yes, keep going. And keep going. Keep going. And don't stop yet. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Right, the thing I notice about that is that I could read that because it is logical. There's none of those great big people going all the way across it and bits in between and that. It's nice and logical. Oh, I suppose that's sort of futuristic, isn't it?
I suppose so, yeah.
I'm futuristic, evidently, but I can't be doing with things all over the place.
It's more logical to you, the way it's put
Well,
out.
for everybody.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm extreme left brain.
Yeah.
You're extreme right.
I'm extreme right, yeah. So I work visually, you work.
I use my brain.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So there we go.
On
2000.
the whole, I quite like
Yeah.
that, and I think a different issue. Well, they wouldn't all be in the dark, would they?
No, absolutely. As I say, it's a comic that I've read for a very, very long time. Getting on for actually over 40 years. I've been on and off. I've been reading it. I don't collect it now, but I'm still pleased to see that it's there, and it's still successful, still in a difficult comics market in the UK especially. The fact that it's nearly 50 years old, I just think is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Don't you mean you've been reading it for 20 years and you started when you were 5?
No. I'm quite happy to talk about my age. It's not a problem. So yeah, on and off. I've been aware of and reading 2000 AD. I've still got a lot of the collected editions of the early material because they're just absolutely brilliant, and there are a lot of the artists and writers that I looked up to first, and that I've been lucky enough to meet as well. I've met a lot of the people that worked on 2000 AD in the 80s.
You haven't been to one of those comic conventions?
I've not been to a comic convention for a very long time, and I'd love to start going to more.
I've only been to one.
There's 2 big ones in the UK. There's the Lakes Festival, and I think Thought Bubble. The Lakes is obviously held in the Lake District, and it is probably the biggest UK one now. There are other smaller conventions, but they're more like general pop culture, so TV and film.
What I saw? Was that a small one?
Yeah, it was quite a small one. And
I was a fish out of water there.
Yeah. But the Thought Bubble and the Lakes are the 2 big British ones, and they have. You can guarantee that most of the bigger British names in comics will be at these conventions. They usually have some guests over from America as well. But yeah,
right.
But there you go. That's 2000 AD.
Well, yes. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Bit of a history lesson for Eliza-Mariah here. Me, because obviously it's been a part of my life for almost as long as I can remember. So I kind of know the history of it quite well.
I didn't know it existed before you mentioned it.
Yeah. But it's great, and as I said, just a few minutes ago. It's great that it's coming up to its 50th anniversary now, so it just proves that there's still a market out there for this kind of storytelling.
Well, I think we ought to look at one of the early ones and compare and contrast, as they say.
Yeah, I'll dig out one of the earlier issues and we'll have a look and see what you think. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.